Cutting edge guests, awesome, uncensored, jaw-dropping information, plus funny memes, good deeds, and loads of laughter. Kind of have it all. Ladies and gentlemen, if your soul is awake, then welcome, because you're in the right place.
The world is in shock. Silver crash, banks are failing. Nothing can stop what is coming.
Welcome to Sunday, Senate Sunday, February the 1st. All of you divine lions, lionesses, YouTube, Rumble, later Facebook, Twitter, X. We're still massively suppressed on X. And Grok even has said it. I think we're at the 5th time, but they don't seem to really care. So anyway, I want to thank all of you for the assistance that we get overall and getting things out there. Even we found YouTube has a little bit of funny business going on with the shows, with some of the truth that we bring. I guess too over the target or a little bit too rich in the truth level content, whatever it may be, we still get it going, and appreciate all of you for being here. I'm your host, Brad Wozny. You know we stand for love, levity, liberty on the Sovereign Soul Show, and it really helps if you do a like, a thumbs up on YouTube, Rumble, wherever you're watching this, and also drop a comment underneath YouTube and on Rumble. I know we've got the live chat going on right now, which is so wonderful to see all of you here. Full moon kicking it right now. So the title of this is The World in Shock, right? The World in Shock. As you saw on the thumbnail, and why. We're going to dive deep into this. 3.5 million pages and 2,000 videos dropped Friday via the Department of Justice, naming prominent figures, plus the major United Kingdom, Canadian, and American politicians, banks, their CEOs tied to RICO, human trafficking, and heinous Epstein Island crimes. Plus, we're going to examine the widening fallout. A big American bank collapsed on Friday. Looks like the bank runs are here. Bank failures are back. Silver had this massive market crash in coincidence with Kevin Marsh's central casting Fed appointment. Talk about that, coupled with COMEX clearouts and the infiltration which has been going on there, including liquidation signals, which really gives you an idea of deeper systemic stress versus sound money. So big bank failed. Bitcoin is found tied to Epstein. We're going to talk about that. Full moon rising Leo right now. And DOJ has named the name. Sound money is rising. Justice demands accountability. Thank you so much. Give it a thumbs up in the chat. And I want to just really quickly, since it is full moon, go back to Maharishi, right? Maharishi Mahesh Yogi. This is a man who brought in transcendental meditation in the late 60s. I learned transcendental meditation in 2011 in Breckenridge, Colorado. And why did I do that? Yes, there's prayer, but we know that Jesus, Yahshua, did prayer and meditation. There was so much stress going on in my life. I was living on average 100 hours a week at the office in Boulder, Colorado, and travel. And I found that 20 minutes a day in the morning and the evening just gave me an incredible new focus. And we also know about theta brainwave state, delta, alpha, and beta brainwave states, so dropping you in. This is what Maharishi, a quote, which is symbolic of this time where we see massive cataclysms. I'm going to call this the perfect storm in the financial markets for the Fed system versus return to God's money, gold, silver, and GESARA. And then also in the law and order, the justice system, holding people accountable, whether it's stolen elections, the vaccine genocide crimes, and then obviously everything else related to human trafficking and RICO and drug trafficking. And so here's what Maharishi said. He said, it's essential not to despair, but rather to understand that this is the moment we've been waiting for. Even if it doesn't look or feel like what we might have imagined. Here again is his instruction, and it's worth rereading. And I'll put it out loud here for you in these 5 sentences. He said, this is a big, huge phase transition, in that our responsibility is to not feel shaken, because on the surface, the whole transition is so violent. It's so violent. 2 things are happening. In order to stabilize order, the disorder is being shaken with great turmoil, with great dynamism. And that will remain under control as long as we, who are the basis to bring about this whole enormous change on the surface, will remain on the level of para. Para means the transcendent. We have to be really para. Again, para also means unreachable by all, by anything that is maybe on the surface. So a higher level of vibration is what he's stating right? That's the levity, levitation, elevation, and vibration, and laughter. And we have to be completely unreachable by the surface turmoil, maintain our para-level of awareness, and then in that integrated state, all that fast-moving transformation and change from chaos to order will pass away in a very steady manner. So bringing it to a level of a guy who, I was trained Canadian Armed Forces, I volunteered, infantry soldier, kicked around the militia for a while, and then also signed up and paid my dues, became a wild firefighter, initial attack forest fire ranger. So I had, if you want to put combat action in those terms, right, hopping off helicopters, fighting forest fires around Northern Ontario and Yukon was the best job I've had in my life. It was amazing. But when you look at forest fires, right, it's part of the regeneration process, and something must fall and something must cleanse in order for the greater regrowth to come about. So I take this from a context like you look at Kevin Marsh, and here's a clip. This is the man that Trump appointed on Friday. And here's a clip from him not long ago talking about the cleansing for the system. Here it is.
Been even worse for the rest of the world. So that's what we did in crises. And, some of your and my friends on the right, including at institutions we care deeply about, their views then were you should let the system burn down. A phoenix will rise from the ashes. You really have no business in doing this.
Quite powerful, right? Phoenix rising from the ashes. Now, when we talk about Phoenix rising from the ashes, and when I conveyed to you those points that Maharishi made in that speech many decades ago, because he's now since passed in this corporeal life form, we take a look at what Q said, right? And as you can see on the pic we have in our thumbnail, here's that thumbnail once again. Put it up here for everybody. I seem to have a few too many things open here as we're just kind of kicking around. So I have to drop one thing and replace it. So I'll put this up here for you right now. And in terms of that pic that you see in the thumbnail, you focus in on the center, right? And you can see that, as Q said, in the operation to save the world, the crimes to children, will unite all, right? And I'm paraphrasing that. Pastor Nick's in the chat, so he can put the exact Q quote in here. So again, what you have over there is an X over Epstein, right? And then you have Bitcoin now named in the files, in the Bitcoin and the Epstein Foundation and Bill Gates and a whole bunch of other people. Jamie Dimon, the CEO of JP Morgan Chase Bank, which has been sued many, many times, right, for silver price suppression as well, including HSBC and Scotiabank and a few other American banks. Deutsche Bank at that point in time, I believe it was in the last 15 years, 2014, I believe, was the last time that they were sued successfully. And then they just paid off. Like, oh yeah, here's a couple $10 billion. Here we pay our fines, but they continued with the suppression. And it's over. It's over, right? And you're like, wait, Brad, we had that massive correction, drop, crash on Friday. Is it really over? Okay, well, just hang on a second. You're going to see, right? So while the world is in shock, where they're looking at the fiat currency and the Federal Reserve money brought in 1913, and we're looking at the crash of Bitcoin. Remember this about Bitcoin. Here's billionaire Dan Pena just a few years ago with regards to it, why it needs to go.
If you knew who was really behind Bitcoin, you would run as fast as you fucking could to sell it. I know. 100%. If you knew who owned Bitcoin or who started Bitcoin, you had Bitcoin, you couldn't sleep at night. I know. 100%. And when the real founder of Bitcoin comes out, it is my humble opinion, and there's nothing humble about me, Bitcoin will go to fucking zero.
And we know it's not even ISO 20022, as we've been saying every show. And once again, we who have watched and read and learned and done our own investigations know Ripple. We know what Gensler and Hinman did at the SEC by suing Ripple one quiet evening on December 24th and driving the price of XRP token down to like nothing and pumping up Bitcoin and Ethereum, and they all held it because those guys are in the club, right? The proof is there. It's all there for you, and it's also there in the DOJ. And this is the post made by President Trump on Friday of the appointment of the new Fed chairman. And while it shows highlighted across the top, and I'll read to you what it says across the top if you haven't seen this you're seeing this rather for the first time and not when it was shared out on Friday. He says, I am pleased to announce that I'm nominating Kevin Warsh to be chairman of the Fed Board of Governors of the Federal Reserve System. All caps, right? Corporate, all caps. The second last sentence, he says, on top of everything else, he is central casting. President Trump put right there a post with quotations, central casting, and he will never let you down. Well, there you go. Central casting. Trust the plan. That's why we have it on the thumbnail, right? What about that? What about what's also going on? So this is a 100% tie with the Epstein files drop to the financial markets going haywire from gold and silver and precious metals. And did you know right now that there are two mints, a bullion and the other Garden State Mint, who cannot access physical silver? And all the retailers across America and Canada, they cannot access physical silver, even junk physical silver right now. So for anybody who is right there right now, you know that Goldco is our partner. You go to BuddhaLovesGold.com in America only, America Corporation right now only, and you can get up to $10,000 of free silver on qualified orders. You have to use that link right there, BUDDHA, lovesgold.com, and that will tag you back to us and our promotion and our partnership with Goldco for that, right? So you can access physical silver and moving into the bullion markets, because what else is going on, right? With the crash of silver, and remember, we're saying crash in a sense that is in the COMEX, which we know has been suppressed, and they're showing you. Remember, Melania's incredible movie just came out on Friday, and when she was at the Kennedy Center on Wednesday night for its premiere, said, I would like to thank America's director, my husband, your president, Donald Trump. America's director. Isn't that interesting how that is all being used? You saw incredible comms in Melania, for those who you saw it on Friday, nothing less of the beast, the license plate on the beast, as Derek and I have shared on our Where We Go On and We Go All shows every other Wednesday. We've shown that when he was 45 and then between the dash on the beast, it had the license plate 45-47. So while he's 45 on the beast in Melania, they're showing several shots of the red backing license plate and in gold 45-47 on the front of the beast. The beast is the protective armored car that the president drives around in. It's on the license plate. It's been there since the beginning in this plan to save the world, right? Okay, so, Brad, plan to save the world. What about that? Well, let's just take a look at it from now, bring everybody up to speed so we can keep as many people as possible, getting them online for what has happened in the Epstein Islands and the Picton pig farms around the world, right? And Picton is just outside of Vancouver, Canada. And just watch when that drops. That's definitely going to be coming out from the DOJ. We know that for a fact from the DOJ. And this one here talks about Bush. So Bush won. That's right. President Bush won. Says Epstein victim raped by Bush and witnessed babies dismembered. And it goes on. And I'm not going to go too deep into the Epstein files because it's very, very difficult to stomach. But what I'd like to do is offer, if all you could, remember in your prayers tonight, in your prayers on this show, in your love in your heart, and broadcasting that out for all the victims of drug and human trafficking, all the victims of financial torture, rape, which we've seen the doxing of bank accounts, the closure of bank accounts, especially overtly over these last 6 years. Those lead to true harm. That is true harm. So put it out there, love for this. So I'm going to just touch on a few of these because we're going to go over to the DOJ website where you can investigate for yourself. And I'll show you exactly how to do that. So here it is up on the screen, right? Interview of a purported Epstein victim. The date is Wednesday, 28 August 2019. Importance is normal. Then it says the highlight at the top, thanks. I didn't realize Bush raped him too. Okay. And SSA, FBI, New York. So, a special agent, right? And then not SAIC, like a special agent in charge. So I don't recall what the extra S is for the special agent. Maybe it's a supervisory special agent. The next line below in yellow, in those several lines highlighted in yellow, it says, he was a victim of a type of ritualistic sacrifice in which his feet were cut off with a scimitar, but left no scarring. On the yacht, he witnessed babies being dismembered, their intestines removed, and individuals eating the feces from these intestines. He was also raped by George Bush I, right? And again, you can go down to, this was from NYPD at the very bottom. They redacted the from, but you have the email address of walter.harkins@NYPD, New York Police Department.org. It's all there for everybody to see now. With an additional, remember, this is an additional 3.5 million pages. This is the summary for Grok on everything here for all of you. The DOJ releases 3 million more Epstein files totaling 3.5 million pages that would be released to date. The Justice Department released 3 million additional pages from the Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell cases, plus FBI probes, including over 2,000 videos and 180,000 images. And under the Epstein Files Transparency Act, reviewers redacted the victim details and child abuse material, but kept images of men unredacted for transparency, with no special treatment for figures like President Trump, whose name appears mainly in news clippings. Blanche, that's the attorney general in charge of this investigation at DOJ, highlighted recent wins like rescuing 205 child victims, 293 arrests, and Operation Restore Justice, shutting down 3.8 million dark web accounts, and charging suspects in sex trafficking and sextortion schemes. Amid praise for the Trump administration's efforts, some called for action on Epstein associates as the DOJ vows to keep prosecuting predators. So God bless those investigators as well who are absolutely dealing with the worst of the worst and the most disgusting crimes against humanity overtly, and they're all choosing and they're enjoying doing that upon these people, right? Well, let me take you over to where you can find all of this. You can do your own search. It's justice.gov/Epstein. This is the website we're on right now. You can do a search on the Epstein library. So you want to put in Prince Andrew, who has been named in the documents for having raped and tortured and participated, or at least was said to have forced somebody to murder a girl that he had raped and tortured. It's in there. And Mark Carney. So here we are. So you can go in here. This last updated January 31, 2026, yesterday. You can search the full Epstein library, and you have 69 results returning for Mark Carney, Prime Minister Mark Carney. So here's the very first data set. Remember, BOE governor, the Bank of England governor, Mark Carney. Remember, he was the governor of the Bank of England. He was also head of the Bank of Canada, selling all of Canada's gold and precious metals by 2014, because he said on an interview that, well, these are precious metals, are old antiquities, and nobody really needs to have them anymore, right? So just crazy. And let's go on to one more about Carney. So you can all go here yourself. You can put in people's names and see what has been released thus far. And the guy is running right now as Prime Minister of Canada. Right here it is about the game of Ukraine, monopoly, and independent. And they talk about oligarchs and Mark Carney and the Bank of England supertanker. RBS, Royal Bank of Scotland allegations, deeply troubling and extremely serious. It continues on, right? And, he's mentioned out loud that he has visited the island several times. So it's all there for all of you to go through and all of you to dig up, whether it's business. So Royal Bank is implicated in this. We have TD Bank implicated. We have JP Morgan Chase and Jamie Dimon, the CEO himself, implicated. The Clintons implicated. All across here, you can continue to go. It's absolutely pure evil. It's completely disgusting. And it's all coming out. And it's all there. It's absolutely incredible, right? It's absolutely incredible. Yeah, we have somebody in the chat that says, no one becomes governor of the Bank of England without doing the worst. Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. So here we are. We're at the level where the system's coming down. And here's your very first sign. This was on Friday, right? You had First Independence Bank. Now, this is a bank that was a bank and trust, rather, that was in Detroit, Michigan, which collapsed. So we had net assets of around $250 million total, or $500 million rather. So here you are. You have total assets of $261 million and total deposits of $212 million. And again, this is on the FDIC website, going direct to it, right? So what that has happened is the FDIC absorbed the bank on a Friday. And like we saw in 2008, it will reopen tomorrow under a new bank's name, but it also has for anybody, so you can't get into your bank, right? So if your bank has failed the tier 1, 2, or 3 level exams for the FDIC, and you have more non-performing assets, NPLs on the balance sheet than it's got, in performing loans, whether that's loans, credit cards, right, lines of credit that have been installed and people aren't making their payments on that because of the extreme trying financial times, which the Trump administration is doing their best and their fastest to remedy for people, right? So what did we also see this week? We saw the announcement of the Trump accounts active, lawful, and happen on Tuesday. With the announcement of the Trump accounts, it means that every newborn American baby will get $91,000 into their account at U.S. Treasury, finally accessible by them when they turn 18. $91,000. Could you imagine? Could you imagine the business of America making sure that you, as a sovereign individual in the Republic of America, not the corporation, you are being paid by its prosperity, so that your child by the age of 18 could put that toward an education if that's still necessary, home purchases, moving expenses, travel, you name it. It's incredible, right? That's incredible. Ending and abolishing property taxes, all of this coming right now to stem that. Gas all under $1.99 a gallon. It's pretty incredible. And which we might just have very soon, $73,000 to $77,000 an ounce gold. That will be a completely separate show. I'll be doing that show coming up here very quickly. And I also have a former West Point grad turned PhD economist who, when he went from West Point as a U.S. Army Ranger, who served with duty, honor, and country, as you all know. And then he went and he learned what was going on at the banks on Wall Street and became a PhD economist for an incredible patriotic firm. We're going to be doing a show here very shortly that you'll see aired this week. So make sure you hit the subscribe button on YouTube or Rumble. Make sure you're following this. Make sure you're sharing it out. And then also we'll give you the case for $77,000 or even higher gold. Will come this year. The reality is it's capable. The potential is all there. Do I have the crystal ball that it won't? Well, we'll talk about what it would take to get the decisions. And imagine that when you have, if you have $77,000 an ounce gold, what's going to happen is silver. So now let's talk about silver, right? So you have Epstein. We've covered Kevin Marsh, what he thinks. You talk about Bitcoin, the Epstein Foundation. All of a sudden, the memes were flying on Friday night after this about, instead of Bitcoin, they're calling it Bitstein, because the Epstein Foundation was found to have done a lot of stuff with Bitcoin. And I'll leave it at that and everybody to interpret. And you can go and you can check it out as well. So let's talk about what was going on Friday with regards to the silver collapse, right? I love this absolute fantastic meme that, yes, yours truly, myself, put together with thanks to Grok. Appreciate you, Grok. We love the Fed. So you have the crazy Karens, the Maxtard Vaxtards, who are all holding their hot baby oil, right? And they're going crazy. We love the Fed. Silver dip. P. Diddy, save us now. And they're selling paper shorts on silver and getting out of it as fast as they can at the end of the month of January, faster than hot baby oil being shared at a Diddy freak off party, right? And of course, you have the sovereign man who is sitting here like, cheers up, I'm good. All right. So it was 120 an ounce it hit on Thursday, and it dropped down to like $81 an ounce by the close of Friday. We're good. And why is everybody going crazy over this? Because when you look at it, it was January 9th. That was the same price. And when you look at the factors, so rather than being reactive to everything and all the news, as smart sovereign souls, which you all are, you look at the key factors and the indicators driving it, because it's being shown to all of us, and they're also in this deep state Venus flytrap, so to speak, at all levels, whether it's the medical, whether it's the what they did to the children with the mutilations and the puberty blockers, all the way over to the CV-19, you name it, all of that justice is coming. Stolen elections, Dominion voting systems, all that justice is coming. And why do we know that it's coming? Well, heck, we have my former roommate and friend, Kevin Hoyt, who seems to be in some form of protective custody. Some of the EINs that he had been sharing for 5 years are now involved in those deep state wrap-ups. We just had FBI Director Kash Patel on Friday morning announce that over a 3-month investigation, isn't that interesting? Kevin went missing in June or July of last year. Everybody remembers that, right? And I also remember the people who didn't give a flying rat's what, like Jimmy Schwinn about it. And he went missing and his daughter went missing, but then somehow 3 months went, and then an investigation started, and it just wrapped up after 3 months with FBI Director Kash Patel saying that over 50 very bad gang members of the Latin cartel gang across the United States have been arrested. And Kevin had 2 assassination hits put on him by that same Latin cartel gang. So remember, everybody, while not everything is getting a headline above the fold and the algorithms on any social media are not showing you everything that's happening, you can go deep dive yourself. You can go find it, just like SG and I were sharing when he had me on his platform this week, and you saw that episode. And you can find this stuff. You can find the fact that those bad guys are disappearing, taken off scene. There are arrest records. There might be sealed indictments with their names on them, but you can't see yet. But you can eventually see when they've been arrested, removed, taken off the scene for the most part, and having a role play. So how does this also go back to, what happened with silver? Well, okay, let's take a look at this. We have lots of reports that China might have raided COMEX on Friday. And so here's a report from @RealTimHack on X. And here's the post, rather. If China raided the COMEX today, the glitches of the servers and all this might have been hackers who manipulated the pricing algorithms for trading towards a crash. If you match the orders different, you can manipulate the price wherever you want. This would also explain why HSBC Hong Kong shut down as well, because the Western metal system could have become infiltrated this way. So the West wasn't able to solve the problem in time, so they just let it happen, because they can't say that China hacked their banking system and they can't do anything about it, and that the reason is that they want silver. And what he's posting in here is Michael Lynch's post on another COMEX technical meltdown. This time it isn't their servers, but with reporting. The issues and stops reports don't match the deliveries on volume. And at open interest report, deliveries are being reported as 0. And then he copies at CME Group, right? So again, we had just on Friday, everybody, like, it's all there. London Metal Exchange resumes trade after a technical glitch. Here's your South China Morning Post on Friday developing. HSBC suffers a temporary system shutdown, stopping services in Hong Kong. Both the bank's mobile app and in-person services at several branches were made unavailable by the outage on Friday afternoon. Outage. Do you remember the outage that happened with CME, Chicago Mercantile Exchange, on Thanksgiving Day, U.S. Thanksgiving Day? It was a Thursday, never a normal high-volume trading day whatsoever in the international markets for precious metals, and they blamed it on a server overheated. That was literally their press release I showed you here on the show. A silver overheated, and it shut down the exchange for almost 12 hours. So they had no backup, no redundancy, no triple failover systems to go off-site, which have immediacy. If Ripple's XRP ledger can handle billions of transactions and close them all around the planet, billions in less than 2 seconds, how is it now the world's leading exchanges and one of the largest banks in the world, HSBC, can't handle something like this? Lots of fishy stuff going on, right? So what we also saw right here, thanks to Just Aerial, is that silver shorts were big. And here we have JP Morgan Chase. And as I just said, you know, if you look carefully into the latest COMEX report, JP Morgan Chase closed its silver shorts exactly at the bottom, the very bottom of the price crash. And from there, it all started to come back up. This isn't coincidence, not conspiracy theory. This is the proof the whole Friday crash was planned. And so on that ledger, which he's showing you here, which I'll just blow up for you a little bit more, here are the deliveries that they're showing for the intent date of January 30, 2026. Delivery date will be February 3rd, 2026, which is going to be on Tuesday. And you have from the top to the bottom, Deutsche Bank, Macquarie Futures, HSBC, Wells Fargo Securities, Scotia Capital, USA, not Canada, Interactive Brokers, B of A, Bank of America Securities, Morgan Stanley, then JP Morgan Securities, right? And ADM, whatever that institution is, I'm not aware. So, wow, pretty amazing. So let me ask you this. Do you remember then, put it in a context like this, right? From a discernment and thinking, dear souls, remember what happened on 27th Thursday of that November Thanksgiving meltdown with CME? What happened to silver then? What happened to silver a week later? What happened to silver in January? Silver was like $81 on January 9th. Where's it sitting right now? You know, once again, that what happened on that Thursday of Thanksgiving had nothing like what's happening or going to happen later this evening in the Americas, because the futures markets are opening overseas. And then tomorrow, when the bell rings in Chicago and New York, you did not have China closing off almost 70% of the exports back then, right? When it halted silver exports January 1st, unless you had a special trading license and you could mine 80 tons of silver at minimum as qualified for that. So here we are. It's absolutely incredible. So they're showing it. They're putting it out there. They've got these incredible people who are sharing this information. I'm putting it out on the shows to bring it to your knowledge. You make sure you bring it to your friends and other people's knowledge, because it's about physical bullion, right? Having assets backed by tangible, or assets are tangible rather, but having your currency that you're going to use, a return to constitutional money, backed by tangible physical assets. Now, whether that's tokenized on an XRP token on a platform where you can literally say, hey, this one XRP token or hundreds of that XRP token is worth my house. So I'm tokenizing my house. That's the value, right? And what is a paper contract? And just think about it like this, because it's the same thing from sovereignty. So you have a paper contract and you sit here and you go, I'm going to buy a home or sell a home. Well, the home is tangible. You can walk into it, you can see it, you can touch it, right? You can smell it, you can stand on the lawn and whatnot. But the representation of what that home is for a transactional basis is on a paper contract. So that's the exact same thing that you're seeing, like an XRP token or an XLM, is that token will be that contract, the digital representation of what that physical asset is. And that's what you have coming in here. That's what you have with the new US Treasury and the RLUSD backed stablecoins for America. It's truly amazing exactly what you're going to see and what's going to happen. Once again, I mean, you know, for all those of you who own silver, this is the greatest representation. I still love it from this meme that was put together. And 77,000 of you shared it off our one Facebook page. So well done for the firm who put this together. Kudos to them. Enjoy this.
Beep, 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 beep. Vibe is running. Beep, 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 beep. Vibe is running. Beep, 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 beep. Vibe is running. Beep, beep, beep. Bassline's hitting and the vibe is running. Stepping in the rave, yeah, the rhythm is right.
He's just going past stocks, LBMA, the LME, London Market Exchange, right? The London Bullion Market Association is LBMA. If anybody doesn't know, you know, stocks. And he's like, yeah, silver, right? Silver and gold. Gold's going to end the Fed. That's absolutely happening. You saw it from Kevin Marsh and what he said, right? The old system, it's going to fail. It's going to collapse. And a greater one, a brand new one is going to rise from the ashes like a phoenix, or rise like a phoenix from the ashes is what he said. It's really, really powerful and brilliant where we are. I just want to remind everybody once again, our partner Goldco is confirmed once again this week that you can still receive up to $10,000 in free silver or gold. If you choose free silver or gold. But right now, the rates are better from the ratio standing on silver. when you make a purchase with them tonight, tomorrow, right, at Goldco, and this is for the USA only. So you go to buddhalovesgold.com, get involved in there, get in line. You have a toll-free number, which we have specifically set up for us because this offer is exclusive to Sovereign Souls on our show. That's it. BuddhaLovesGold.com. That'll take you right there, up to $10,000 instant match in free silver. So right now we have 2 mints, once again, in the United States who have said that they cannot get access to physical silver. And one of them took silver off their website. They're no longer selling silver. And all retailers right now across America cannot sell silver. They can't get their hands on physical silver to sell it. They can't even get junk silver to sell it to retail shops right now. And if you remember David Bateman, the billionaire who made the investment in silver, right? The Batman, if you will, of the silver bullion world. I mean, that man had made a massive bet, 1.2 billion, and he bought up nearly 5% of the world supply in March. And that man is sitting pretty right now. There are way more billionaires making their bets in their bank with silver right now, as well as the precious metals. So once again, stay linked to the channel. When we drop the show, that'll be coming out with The Economist. You'll get a lot more information there. It's really, really powerful coming up with in terms of things like, we get to $25,000, $30,000, $77,000 an ounce gold, and what mechanics would need to be there in place to drive that. And there are mechanics in place to drive that. And we'll talk about that. So stay tuned for that interview. Now I want to take you to The Simpsons. Everybody has watched some really compelling information come out of The Simpsons, right? And episodes that go back to the 90s even. And talking about the times that we're living in right now. And we've seen things happen, whether it's Trump coming down the golden escalator, right? Announcing presidency or candidacy for president and running for 2016's election to other things. Watch this clip from this episode that aired in September 2010.
I'd like to call to order this secret conclave of America's media empires. We're here to come up with the next phony baloney crisis to put Americans back where they belong, in dark rooms, glued to their televisions, too terrified to skip the commercials.
Well, I think...
NBC, you are here to listen and not speak. I think we should go with a good old-fashioned public health scare.
A new disease. No one's immune. It's like the summer of the shark, except instead of a shark, it's an epidemic. And instead of summer, it's all the time.
That is...
Now, I hate to be the guy who derails what everybody else loves.
He loves being that guy.
But, Janice, we do have standards. This can't be a made-up disease. The only moral thing to do is release a deadly virus into the general public.
We do have something we've been holding on to, but it hasn't been tested. Get over here, NBC.
Well, we certainly believe in testing, but
Wow. Oh, yeah.
So, we've got our deadly disease.
We have to burn everything that can't touch before the virus makes us paranoid!
Homer! Stop burning! They have a vaccine!
All right, we'll get the vaccine. Don't worry, people. We have enough vaccines for...
And there you have it. Pretty compelling. Putting it all out there in front of our face. And now, especially with what Make America Healthy Again and RFK Jr. has been putting out, is truly, truly incredible. Tomorrow I've got a live stream with your favorite SEAL Team 6 DevGuru legend, Michael Jaco. So stay tuned for that, everybody. Thank you all so much for liking, sharing, dropping your comments in there, participating over here in Rumble. Good to see Jack Sack back with Ad McKimba, 606, Pastor Nick, just crushing like he says. He goes, we have been waiting for this time for a long, long period of time. Absolutely. And just by the way, I'll direct you all, since today is the day of the full moon, February 1st, incredible, over to a little bit of a write-up of a share of good love and energetic, radiant presence and resonance from the Reiki Muse in Colorado. And here it is, full moon, Reiki, radiant presence. Happy full moon. I'm sending out pure Reiki for the full moon in confident and passionate Leo tomorrow, February 1st, 2026. Relax and breathe in this gift of Reiki. It's flowing to you now, received by your own free will and your body's inner wisdom. And there's Reiki Master and Huna, incredible woman, Christy Diarmid, full moon in Leo. And the full moon in Leo brings out our passionate and creative sides. It's a good time to let your heart light shine. Others will notice. Embody your heart light. The Reiki this month will help you fully embody the unlimited light and your pure heart. And final point that Christy writes here, your light in words and actions. Let your words and actions be full of meaning, not just robotic emptiness. Sometimes we start going on autopilot. We become just mere images without rating our true heart light. People often speak words without any feeling behind them. Have you ever noticed it's harder to understand what someone means when they don't have their inner spark behind their words? You know, that glazed over look someone gives you after scrolling over their phone. Words can have that empty feeling too. When you are grounded and anchored in your light, you are more clear and present. Your words and actions carry more power and meaning. Take a moment to pause, breathe, feel the light of you expanding in your body. Reiki will support you in expressing your heart light in your words and actions. Feel yourself truly being present when interacting with others. The connections with yourself and others is deepening now. Extremely powerful, beautiful time to be alive. And thank you all so much. Appreciate you. We'll see you tomorrow on the live stream and a couple of other amazing shows dropping throughout this week and the following one. So make sure you subscribe, you're following, and see you all in the comments. God bless you all. And we'll leave you with this final little bit with Goldco. Until then, everybody. Bye-bye. All right, you sovereign souls, now is the time to protect your money with gold and silver if you already have not. And if you are and you have a chance to do so, I highly encourage to do so even more, because gold and silver will launch the golden age, which Commander-in-Chief Trump has continuously referenced.
The dollar is going down, and it's not a pretty picture, and it's not being sustained by proper policy and proper thinking. This was an opportunity, and maybe an opportunity to show people what's happening with the dollar so that we can do something about it.
Get some if you can. BuddhaLovesGold.com will take you to our partner Goldco. They have over 6,000 five-star reviews. This is why now is the time to buy gold and silver, because we have thousands of Americans buying gold today. The rising inflation has reduced our purchasing power. Dysfunctional politics don't work for us. The US dollar has lost over 97% of its value since 1913, while the price of gold has increased over 9,000%. Silver has fared well against the dollar too, with the silver price increasing over 4,500% since 1913. It's about wealth protection. Physical precious metals act as a hedge against dips in volatile markets. Go over to BuddhaLovesGold.com. That's www.BUDDHA, BuddhaLovesGold.com. You will download your free silver and gold guide today, and our great people over there at Goldco will take care of you. That's BuddhaLovesGold.com. You'll see a picture of me right on there, Brad Wozny. And once again, BRICS is the new financial system. Asset-backed precious metals is the way of the future. This is about financial control. Diversifying your assets with gold and silver puts you in control of your wealth at BuddhaLovesGold.com.